it's the creator versus like business owner paradigm, and like balancing those two things, because almost when you're that creator, especially at the start, it just makes for everything else to be so much easier. But then it's like a decision you almost have to make, whether you want to be like an influencer or a business owner. It's not an easy equation to kind of figure out, because like, so much marketing so much easier when you have that personal brand.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, there's so many businesses I know that the founders are just unknown.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, never talked about. I don't think it's like necessary for success, but I do think I think it's a lot more commonly found in two areas. One is either like these venture-backed companies where, at least, I don't know, 10 years ago, being a VC on Twitter was like, that's like the hot thing. And so everybody wanted to be, putting stuff out, and VCs obviously saw it as a way to like attract deal flow. And then these founders would get on and start posting content. And then there was this whole wave of like, I remember in 2017, like, Whitney Wolf Herd, the Bumble founder, the Glossier founder, the Outdoor Voices founder, the Stitch Fix founder. These guys were all crushing, building out personal brands on Instagram and whatnot. Anyways, I feel like one is big in the venture community, and then the other is like the bootstrapped. And the bootstrap people use it because it's like a great way to source deals or, get free brand awareness or eyeballs, basically. But I don't know. I still go back and forth on whether or not like how important it is to build out the founder angle. Like, Hexclad, multi-$100 million a year business. You can't find anything about the founder on the internet.
All you can find is your guys' podcast you did together.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny. I mean, I feel like in a lot of ways it almost allows you to get away with a lot of things from a business standpoint, like a lot of mistakes. Kind of.
How so?
In the sense of like, let's say you don't have a perfectly optimized funnel. Your website kind of sucks. You don't have great, opt-in on your email list and all that stuff. But because you're posting like really good content and, people are visiting the site and people like you, maybe even the product's not that good, whatever, you just feel like could get away with a lot of stuff that you wouldn't be able to if you were unknown. Like if you were just running Facebook ads and that was your funnel, you would have a lot more of your holes exposed.
Totally. I mean, we, at my company, Sharma Brands, we see this happen all the time where we audit a influencer built CPG business or celebrity backed CPG business. And we're just like, wow, these guys are making an insane amount of money and nothing is set up the right way. Like their ads are shit. Their creative is shit. Their landing pages are bad. The website doesn't explain anything. They're not even bundling anything. It's like the worst possible, but they're printing money. So yeah, that happens all the time and they can get away with it. Or honestly, I don't know if it's get away with it or just like not even notice it.
Yeah.
Because like if you don't have that firepower and you're just running ads, you've got to have everything done right. Like in especially in e-commerce, if everything is not done the right way, like you're basically telling your customers to go to your competitor. Yeah.
No doubt. E-com's in a weird place right now, I feel like, as well.
Yeah.
With ad spend and everything. Totally. What are you kind of seeing right now?
Tariffs, product innovation, things that are popping versus not popping. Another big barrier to entry is just eyeballs.
Yeah.
Like people getting eyeballs, to your point about ad spend, has become now significantly more expensive than it was 10 years ago. And if you are not able, if you don't have a celebrity co-founder or something like that, which 99.9% don't, you have to figure out how to crack the code on eyeballs, or you have to pay for those eyeballs. That is the end of the game. You either pay for them on ads, which is at a minimum $20 for every 1,000, and up to, I've seen $120 for every 1,000 eyeballs you see or that see you. Or you have to figure out how to be really good at content creation in a way that like just is able to get you in front of so many, hundreds of thousands of millions of eyeballs, that you don't have to pay for except for whatever it costs to fund the content.
Yeah. So where are you seeing working right now?
Well, it's like all the different ways are still working.
Yeah.
The thing that I see as the fundamental, you know, um, denominator is basically like a product that has a really good problem solution story. So, something as simple as like there's this brand called Divi, actually started by a creator named Danny Austin, and it was like a hair growth serum. Um, and she created this right after COVID, where she had some hair loss. She documented the whole thing on Instagram. It started as a business. It started small. It got validated by this community that she's built, and then they put ad spend behind it, and the thing
Mhm.
just rocket ships. It's like basically um, this formula of find something innovative, so like something that's creating it's innovation in technology or innovation in delivery or in gummy vitamins is a great example of innovation in delivery. K18 shampoo is a great example of innovation in technology. Or like a Jolie shower head, also innovation within a product that hasn't been changed in a while. And you couple that with a good like demonstrable or product solution type of a story, and that's just basically testing different advertising angles. And once you find the one that works, then you run with it, get behind
Yeah.
it.
Power is the story.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No doubt. So like when we're gonna break that down into I wanted to start with the like different biggest ROIs when you're at like 0 to 100K, 100K to a million
Yeah.
plus. Because obviously, like what got you there or what got you here won't get you there.
Yeah.
There's different things at those points. So with the 0 to 100K, what do you think is like the biggest ROI?
Biggest ROI. So basically just starting out is, two things. One is just making sure you have a good website set up.
Yep.
So, go through all the things to make sure your site's optimized. I always run through this test called the grandma test or the drunk person test.
It's a great test.
Yeah. Grandma test is, can your grandma pull it up on her phone? Keep in mind, it's your grandma's iPhone. So it might be slow. It might be old, smaller screen than normal. Maybe a little bit hard to see, not as bright. The drunk guy test is basically the same thing, but like, somebody's now a little bit intoxicated. So they have less brain power to comb through your site and understand what you're selling. And is it easy to add to cart? Do you know what the product is? Why does the brand exist? What gives them the right to sell this product to you? Have other people tried it? All that kind of stuff. And so that's one part. The other part is just making sure you're driving traffic. So any sort of awareness you can drive, whether that's by spending on ads or whether that's by creating content on a platform like TikTok, whether that's by getting influencers to post and talk about the product, whether that's showing up at an event and directing people to the site. But basically, you need eyeballs and you need a place to sell. This is all in the context of a company that should have a 10 out of 10 product, because if you have an 8 out of 10 product, you're going to fail.
Yep.
100% of the time. So yeah, it's basically that. I always say, like, you want to figure out how you can sustainably or repeatedly just increase your base number of daily sales. So if I get 50 new customers a day, okay, that's the new baseline. Then how do I get to 100 new customers a day? Then 200 new customers a day, then 500 new customers a day, and you just keep raising that number of new customers per day, in a way that you only really scale it if it's working or if it's cost effective. So that's what I would do. 0 to 100. I would also try. Most brands don't think about social proof enough. So when you see something new, you want to buy something new, somebody tells you about something, you go straight to TikTok, Instagram, or Google or YouTube. So if you're not showing up with good content that are positive reviews on the first 3 social networks, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and if you don't have a bunch of people talking about you on Google, Reddit threads and publications and blogs and all these other things, then why is a random customer going to trust you? So there was actually, I remember when Caraway Cookware launched, they did a phenomenal job of just getting in every possible affiliate publication or press outlet they could. And they dominated from the sense of, if you searched Caraway Cookware, all you would see is positive reviews. And I just thought the way they did it was so great. And yeah, that's like 0 to 100 is just lay the social proof, if you can, focus on creating content, because I think that's like you're starting to pave the road. And if you can even get that 100K without really running a bunch of ads, then you've now trained the algorithms of the ad platforms what to look for in customers that are coming to you who are purchasing. Yeah.
So a big part of that from the jump is when you're creating that website, a lot of people go off the bat, start with an agency in order to build that website. Just because, there's a bit of a learning curve there when you're building that website. And something that happened to me and when I started my first e-com store was got kind of screwed with a bad website design agency. Ended up with a really bad product, kind of had to scrap it and start from the beginning. The agency piece of the puzzle is one that's not really talked about too much. Finding the right agency. How do you know who to go to? What do you know is good price? That whole thing. What do you think when it comes to getting that right agency we should be aware of?
Man, there's so much. There, there's agents. There's like two types of agencies. There's like Excel sheet agencies, which are the same as like these D2C brands that were started by like finance guys, right? Agencies started by people who are like, okay, well, basically I can charge this X for this, and I can arbitrage it by getting the talent for this, and I make the spread in between. And they tend to just leverage a bunch of overseas talent. And honestly, I tell people like, there's no right price for a website. It depends like what kind of caliber of a website do you want? Like most you could say challenger brand e-commerce websites that are doing anywhere from 100 to 500 million in revenue. Those are probably websites costing anywhere between 130 to 200K. But if you're a brand new company and you've got you just want to test a proof of concept, like you could make do with a 15K budget or a 10K budget. If you want to get really scrappy and buy a theme and then customize that on top, you could probably get away with that with like a couple $1,000.
Yeah.
The problem or where I think people get tricked is like they sign up with an agency who promises them the world, right? And if you're a small agency, you probably are more on the execution side versus the strategy side. But then these founders that come to them also trust these agencies to build out what is your full site strategy and page map, and what is every click doing, and what's the UX, and what's the acquisition offer, and is there a landing page built into there that I can use later? But nobody's really thinking of that. But the other parties think that the other person's going to give that to them, and you just kind of end up with like a mediocre product. So I don't know. I always tell people like, hey, if you're about to like make a decision on an agency and you want a second gut check, like email me. I'm always happy to help,
I mean, that's a game changer right there. Like the first agency I went on, just kind of scouring the internet, blah, blah, blah. Second one I went on was successful e-com founder. I just DM'd them. I was like, yo, who'd you use to make your website? Exactly. It looks really good. Got their info. It was half the price of the first agency I got with, and they did 100x better the job. So those referrals are powerful.
Super powerful. And in like, and I have a gripe with like, we do three main things: acquisition, retention, and web. And I have like a gripe with different different gripes with different services. But in the web side, it's that like most Shopify developers are not, they're not very good at, like, a lot of them are good, but not a lot of them are truly like top tier, exceptionally incredible. They're not the best at because Shopify is not an easy language to develop on, from my understanding. So, to make things pixel perfect back to Figma files that are full of animations and layers and all that kind of stuff is extremely hard. So, all that to say that, anybody who's promising you the world or a conversion rate increase or any of that stuff is, you should probably run.
Yeah. Have you checked out Replo at all?
Yes.
That's a great place to start. Yeah.
It's a phenomenal place to start. In fact, today I just recommended it to somebody too on the phone, but it's, like Replo is such a good thing to use because they pull so many templates into their app
Mhm.
that you can just duplicate and change the copy on. It's like, if you're a founder, it's one of the easiest tools to use. And they're also extremely helpful. Like, you can ping them and their support's super fast to help. Yeah, we used to use Replo a lot with our landing page agency.
And then the second half of that, so we got, building a really great website. Second half is, you have that standard of sales per day and continuously trying to increase that. I kind of like to think of it like the Alex Hormozi where you have the 4 squares. Have you seen that? Where he has like, your warm traffic, cold traffic, creating content, and paid ads. So to break that down, what do you think the most powerful things are in that? I guess it really varies company to company, what you're
those
doing.
4 too, I think it's more just about how are you treating them differently.
Exactly, yeah.
Like cold traffic, you just have to basically warm them up. Whether it's lead magnets, whether it's content, whether if it's an e-commerce site, then it's a discount or a guide or extra points when you shop with this or something like that, cash back. Warm traffic is basically like probably more ready to convert, ready to like browse around products and add stuff to the cart. The interesting thing is like content that comes from, or traffic that comes from content, like organic content, is the best kind of traffic you can send. It has the highest conversion rate, and yeah, it's just people are like sold by the time they're on the site. Like that click is like they're sold. Versus with paid traffic, the click gets you somebody to say I'm interested, but they're not sold just when they get to the site.
Yep. And so I mean I have a very very personal question with this, which is I'm on the tail end of that, right? Of that 0 to 100K. My business I started, I think on like a year from tomorrow, actually.
Nice.
So congrats. About the 1 year anniversary.
Yeah.
And we did this entire first year solely based on a few friends who have big audiences on Twitter that promoted it and were essentially affiliates. So it's really just been 4 or 5 key affiliates. And I've had a lot of success with the affiliates. I've kind of broken down, on Facebook ads. Is it going to work? I've kind of been thinking through that, Google ads, that whole piece of the puzzle. But what I'm really confident in is the affiliate model for my business. And, in some ways it's incredibly simple. Just reach out to creators and invite them to be your affiliate. And then there's the part of the puzzle of getting them to actually promote it. Do you guys do a lot of affiliate stuff? What have you kind of learned in that realm?
That's one of the few things we don't do. We don't do Amazon affiliate, social, and PR. So I'm not 100% sure, but there are like, what kind of product do you sell?
So we sell blood tests direct to consumer.
Blood tests.
So in the health niche.
Yeah.
A differentiating factor is like we do. Most of our competitors or all of our competitors are just general health panels. So we break it down more by like diet. So if you're doing an animal-based diet, this is the blood test to take.
Got it.
If you have bad acne, this is the blood test to take.
Yeah.
So we kind of go super niche with our products.
Yep.
That's why the affiliate I think works so well, is because you're so easily able to target the creators in those niches.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know much about affiliate, to be completely honest. I know that, like, for example, Goalie, what they would do with their affiliates is they create challenges for affiliates. So they'd be like, whoever drives the most sales this weekend, like we're buying you a laptop, or a Camry or something like that, like they win prizes versus having to give discounts to the customer. But I have a friend I can connect you with to talk all things.
Oh, that'd be great. I appreciate that. And then so the other part of the equation, which is paid traffic of Google ads, Facebook ads, and then there's obviously all the ones from there, Reddit, Snapchat, blah, blah, blah. It's a slippery slope because if you don't know what you're doing, you could lose a lot of money really fast.
Totally.
It's and the learning curve, although it's not crazy difficult, it does seem like you got to know what you're doing before you're entering into that market. How do you think we should figure out to solve that puzzle?
There's a lot of great resources online. There's Andrew Foxwell is this guy who has a bunch of great content, and he has a really good course on media buying that I would recommend. There's a guy that I remember learning from named John Loomer, who's also very good at that stuff. Dara Denny's another really good one on YouTube. But anyways, I would start with Facebook, and I would just play around with some static ads, and see, start testing some headlines and some different format of ads. Once you kind of find an angle that works, or if you already know what type of messaging works from the affiliates, you could create video content there. You could create a video and whitelist your own account as an ad. And just try to get basically you want to look at your CPM number, which is like, what does Facebook charge you to show 1,000 people? If that gets too high, that means that whatever you're putting into Facebook is not being liked by Facebook. Your click-through rate, which is like what percentage of people are clicking through, that tells you how well your creative resonates with the audience. And then your conversion rate on site, or specific to Facebook traffic, or you'll start to notice your add to cart rate, and then your checkout initiate, and then purchase. And so you can kind of start to understand what those numbers look like. And I would just start small there, and then slowly, as things are working, you add some more money every day.
Yeah. I think the really difficult thing for people is like, you want to have success tomorrow with it.
Yeah.
But the real success comes from the slow incremental improvements, testing something, looking at your site, seeing what's maybe going on there, seeing if you're leaking, and going slow. There's a lot of power in that. It's not the message people want to hear, but
yeah,
it's powerful.
I would say going slow is a great one. Also, there is so many people who are just posting videos on YouTube talking about their ad account. Or, Dara is a great example. Like, I think every week she comes out with something, and she's literally going inside ad accounts, or like giving these tips or tactics. Or, there's all these webinars that exist that people are doing the same thing. Like, there's so much to learn out there from other people's learnings and mistakes already. The whole Foxwell ecosystem is a great place too.
Yeah. That 40 tactical tips that you did too. Another great episode. Like right before you're starting to run ads.
Yep.
See through a lot of those little tactical tricks, see what you can implement. 100K to $1 million. What do you think changes there from your approach?
Per year?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Same stuff.
Yeah. You just got to figure out, $1 million a year is about $3K a day.
Yeah.
So
it's cool when you break it down that way.
Yeah. You just gotta get to $1,000 a day, and then 2,500, and then 5K a day, and then 10K a day, and then 25K a day. You just got to keep. That's how I like to look at the milestones. Yeah.
When does it switch? At what point?
Probably past the 5 million mark. I would say 5 or 6 million. It's about $500,000 a month. Just over, like 10K a day, I guess. That's probably when you start testing new tactics. So, if what has gotten you there is mostly like statics and light videos, maybe you're testing some whitelisting, some advertorials, maybe some influencer stuff. You might test, well, honestly, that could be pretty much all you need then to get you to the 10 million mark. Obviously optimizing on the other side too, right? Making sure your subscription program's tight, your email flows are super tight.
Yep. Your
churn reduction, everything you can to reduce churn is happening. You're doing events, doing things for subscribers, keeping them happy. And then I guess 10 to 100 is, it's more of the same. Like, you can add in TV, as a channel to drive some more upper funnel. You probably start playing with YouTube. You're probably also like getting into retail, thinking about retail, leveraging retail. So you might be running some more like retail focused stuff as well. You're probably on Amazon at that point for sure. Running Amazon ads too. It's just kind of like, the key is to just not get distracted doing everything, especially right at the beginning. Like, just focus on getting that, 5K a day from Facebook ads. You could probably get to 10K a day just from Facebook ads. And then once you're past that, maybe you start adding a couple things here and there.
Yep.
But a lot of people get too distracted too quick. And, there's a lot of shiny objects, especially with, Facebook and TikTok and Google, and all these companies are always coming out with new shiny products to try, ad products or not. But it's easy to get distracted and focus on things that are just like not the real needle movers.
No doubt about that.
Yeah.
And there's definitely this, I guess I would say, like, type of content or getting pushed recently, this idea of like the solopreneur, like the one man entrepreneur.
Yeah, I love it.
What do you think about it? Yeah,
I love it. I think it's dope.
do you think it's doable when you're in the e-com space and you're trying to push? Because like you were saying before, there's a lot of shit going on.
Yeah, I don't know if it's, it's definitely doable. Like, it's definitely doable. Black Wolf Nation is a men's skincare brand, double-digit millions for the last few years in sales, and it's 2 full-time people,
And then contractors.
and contractors. Yeah, and there's actually a good amount of, I have a friend who has a supplement brand. I think he's the only real full-time person on it. The rest is contractors. He'll do 50 million this year. So it is possible. It's just very hard.
Yeah.
This guy who's doing it, this is his, I think, 3rd brand. So he already knows who to use, where to go, what to pay, how to do it, etc.
That's a game changer.
Totally. But a lot of the solopreneurs that I feel like are on social are mostly doing like digital products.
100%. That seems like a lot easier.
And product iteration and contract manufacturers messing up a product. It's mostly like PDFs and courses and communities, things like that.
Yeah. It's an interesting way things are going right now, that you could build these massive businesses with a lot, like, not that many people.
Yeah, it's nuts. And the next level beyond that is like the world of B2B creators, content creation. Like, I'm obviously in that, but I know some people in this B2B marketing world where, their audience is other like titles at a company. That's their audience, is certain titles across multiple companies.
Yeah.
And like, if you think these solopreneurs are making $1 million a year by themselves, is crazy. Like, these guys are making like $5-6 million a year, with these B2B deals, with these massive software companies.
Yep.
It's crazy.
So for the like entrepreneur, someone who, they're between that, let's call it 0, but they're in the starting phase. They're not sitting on the couch still, and 5 million. What do you think? Like, what is the thing you want to stress to them the most? Because there's so many things you can be doing, like you said before. So much shiny object syndrome. Like, if you just had a billboard to reach all these people, like, what are you screaming to them that they just need to be focusing on?
I mean,
because it's hard to feel
5 million is actually relatively a pretty big business.
Yeah.
Most people have a hard time getting past like 1 million or 2 million. That's where I think a lot of people like kind of tap out. And I don't know. I think, I've started a few businesses and a few of them have failed and a couple of them have done okay. And I think it just comes down to, I don't even know. I think you have to just be like
just keep going.
Psychotically obsessed with whatever you're doing if you're starting something. Because everything that you do as an entrepreneur is basically very high risk, especially in the early days. Like, if you're trying to, if you get to 5 million in revenue, you've taken on a ton of opportunities of high risk, to get there. Especially if you're doing it while bootstrapping it, doing it solo, no investors, shareholders, anything like that. But yeah, I don't know. I think you just got to be like really dialed in, really obsessed. You have to be able to tolerate the risk. You have to be okay being super uncomfortable. And yeah, I mean, I remember reading this book when I was a kid by Mark Cuban that said something like, if you're not working on it, somebody else is working 24 hours a day to take it away from you. Yeah. And then I was like, all right, I'm dialed.
Yeah. It's hard though, in the sense of like you it's very easy to feel inadequate because there's so much shit going on. And so I guess what you're just saying is you just gotta stay the course.
Yeah, stay the course, and like you gotta have good friends too.
Yeah.
That's like where that helps, right? If you're just dialed, if you're grinding all week long, and you go from working all day to maybe a workout, back to work, you go to a dinner or an event, you come back home, you still need that like, I don't know. I think having good friends solves that
Yeah.
problem.
There's two sides of it. It's like having just good friends to hang out with and take your mind off of it.
Yeah.
But then having the friends that are in the space that you can like relate to
Yeah,
and bounce
totally.
ideas off of,
Yeah.
and just be like, yo, do you mind checking out my site? I'm doing X, Y, and Z.
100%.
Love your take on this.
That's the way to do it.
It's a game changer.
Totally.
Yeah. I had a friend who, like, I mean, my business is nothing right now in comparison to what he's doing. And he was implementing some changes onto his site. And he was just asking me some copy things.
Nice.
And I just gave him like, just quick from an outsider's point of view, hey, I think, as a supplement brand, like I would love to see, the ingredients right off the bat, make it a lot more easier to see, blah, blah, blah. And they hit me up like a month later that had like 6-figure difference for him.
Nice.
And it's nothing with me. It's just like having that second pair of eyes that's kind of in the space, that's been thinking about these things. It's a game changer because you're locked in your own mind so much with this stuff.
Yeah, one of the reasons I loved using Twitter or using Twitter even like 10 years ago was that it was so easy to make group chats with people who were like in the same space and doing cool shit.
Crazy how much of a relationship app Twitter is.
Yeah,
like
totally.
The other social media platforms, I don't feel like you get as much of a friendship with the other creators. Like you almost need that in order to grow.
Right.
It's interesting.
100%.
Yeah, it's funny. So the brands that you're working with right now, I was going through the catalog before this. It's pretty crazy, especially with the like recent success like David and that launch.
Yeah.
Like I was admiring, salivating at all the shit that they were doing at their launch, and and right after that, it's been cool to see like what the brands are working with right now. For those that don't know, kind of what's your role with them? How do you guys fit into the equation?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we work with brands in 3 ways. Like one is acquisition, so creative production, media management, media buying, reporting, measurement, all of that stuff. We do commerce experience, so you're managing your website, design, development, QA, building out landing pages, conversion rate optimization, whatever it takes to like beef up the site. And then retention, so email, subscription, loyalty, membership, SMS, anything that helps retain these customers. And sorry, what was the question behind it?
Just essentially, like what you do with the brands.
Oh yeah, so yeah, pretty much those are the 3. It's like driving growth. So my favorite scenarios, a brand is like, hey, we're on track to do, I don't know, 40 million this year. We need to get to like 65. How can you help us get there? And a lot of it's like a lot of creative testing, a lot of tightening up of their flows, optimizing their site, maybe building them a new site. Or we get a lot of these like one-time website projects too. Somebody's just like, hey, we need a faster site, a higher converting site. And we're really good at building sites that are very direct response, but you don't notice that because they're so beautiful.
It's cool. Yeah. Very cool.
The David site's a great example.
Yeah. David site's great.
An insane number.
Really?
But it's like, it's such a direct response machine, but you can't tell because it's so beautifully done,
It's very cool.
Yeah.
What do you think, like, if I tend to ask this question to a lot of guests, like if you were going to create a school, like what do you think, what are you really driving home? What are you teaching?
Oh man. Well, I was a terrible student. So I feel like the schooling system is really good if you're a really good like
rules follower. Yeah.
Or like, I don't even know. It's like, I remember there was these kids in high school who, I never did a single drug, but these kids would smoke weed and they would be so good at tennis and they would get A+ on everything. And then they'd end up at MIT.
Yeah, there's always some of those, dude.
How the fuck are these kids doing this? And anyways, I feel like the schooling system, worked really well for them because of the way that they were wired. I was wired a lot differently. Like I'm a very visual learner. I like to learn things by doing it. And also I've realized like there's just some things that I don't know, maybe my brain can't absorb. Like I just don't care to know Roman history from 1500 BC or whatever. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So my brain doesn't absorb that or like hold it. And anyways, I was a terrible student, and I bet if there was like a teacher who looked at my grades, they'd be like, oh, this kid has no shot doing anything. But But I do think, I don't know what the answer is either, but I do think that like there's got to be a way for kids like me to have learned better, or to be able to, I don't know, just learn things better, grasp things better. My elementary school I went to was a very project-based learning school, so I was very good there, and crushed there. But then as soon as I got to not that, then it was like chaos.
I feel you.
Yeah, terrible test taker.
Yeah, it's funny. I was the similar way. It's funny how I didn't realize this until recently, but nowadays is like being very much in the entrepreneurship mindset of outsourcing a lot of things. You get very like locked in a bubble of like in school of like doing things yourself, and that needs to be the way. And if
That's not how
you
life works.
collaborate with other people, that's not good.
Yeah,
But nowadays as an entrepreneur, it's like the complete opposite. Like if I could find someone that I outsource to that does better work than me, it's like a massive unlock.
totally.
It's funny, it's interesting. And that skill of outsourcing is not something that you realize off the bat.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah. Do you guys do a lot of outsourcing with Sharma brands? Like how does that work for you?
We've got a handful of team members in Sri Lanka, and they're some of the most savage people ever.
How do you find your people?
We worked with this firm called Oceans.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of them.
They were a friend of mine who started Morning Brew, bought into Oceans, and so he was like, you got to try this out.
Yep.
This thing is revolutionary. And I'd tried a few of them before. Like there was a few popular overseas recruiting firms on Twitter, and I'd used them, and I think I'd hired a total of 5 people before. Ended up like getting rid of them, and I don't know if it was because my onboarding was bad, or they were not prepped properly, or they were the wrong talent, but for whatever reason, it didn't work out. And then with Oceans, I was like, all right, I'm gonna try to make this impossible. I need somebody who's like, this for my own assistant, somebody who's like understands direct to consumer, understands advertising, can get around a Facebook ad account, fully understands how to be a phenomenal assistant, can do everything from everything like an assistant would need to do, can manage my personal inbox, can write well like on my behalf, and they have to use an iPhone, and they have to be down. If I got to work late on a Friday night, like I need that person there. If I got to work on a Saturday, I need that person there. And within 2 weeks, they found me Ramiz, who you've been in touch with.
Yes, I was just about to comment. Incredibly impressed with him.
Yeah, and Ramiz is like, he used to run e-commerce for the Nestle account at Ogilvy in Sri Lanka, and is the world's greatest EA. Like Ramiz has like the brand name of Ramiz now. You know what I mean?
He's a killer, dude.
He's an absolute killer.
When he texted me and I saw he was from Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
And I realized that he was a EA.
Yeah.
Because at first I didn't realize. I just thought he was like someone from New York that's been working with you.
Totally.
I was blown away. I was like, holy shit, he's impressive.
Yeah, it's amazing. There's some crazy Ramiz logistics setup stories that exist, but this guy's
that's
amazing.
Great, dude. Yeah. That's awesome. And so, what roles do you think about like for doing something like that, like using someone like or a company like Oceans? What type of roles are you good with outsourcing? Yeah,
a lot of like back office stuff. Yeah. For every VP that exists here or director that exists here, they could probably have some junior direct reports overseas. The tough part is, and this is where I think Oceans is actually very valuable, is like you don't want to find, you don't want to just pull from this surplus of people who want to work with American companies. Oceans is like, you write a job description as if you're hiring in New York or anywhere here. You give them the job description and they go recruit, like they go snipe talent.
That's sick.
From these amazing companies that all have offices in Sri Lanka. And so not only do they do that, but then they build there's a whole ecosystem of Oceans talent there that they'll meet, like they all know each other. There's a whole community there. So, like my team, they all hang out, and then I'll tell them like, yo, anytime you guys go out for dinner, for drinks, you get together on a Sunday to watch a UFC fight, whatever it is, like it's on me. And
that's good. That's awesome.
So like we've been able to really, in a cool way, build this culture over there. We have a really great culture at Sharma Brands, but it's cool that it's like extended there.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
And it's felt there, which is awesome. But yeah, a lot of the back office stuff, or like, for example, if you've got a designer here that's making these beautiful static ads, somebody over there can duplicate that 35 ways. That's something that somebody here doesn't need to do. If you've got
cool.
ad ops people who are uploading ads, doing reporting, that kind of stuff.
I love I think like the way of the future in terms of like organizational charts is you have one key player and then he has his EA, his different people
Yeah.
That just allow him to like 10x his output.
Totally.
I think it's a game changer.
Totally. And a lot of it is just like figuring out how you optimize for time.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
oh yeah.
Are there things that your team here is doing? Like maybe it's for that example, a designer, cranks out an ad that she spends all day making, but then she has to make 35 versions of it. But the copy, the copy's given from the copywriter. She just has to go in and swap it. Like that's something that, okay, that if you take the cost of those hours spent here versus how long it would take and the cost spent overseas, like, you're saving that margin basically. So that's kind of the way to think about it. But I think there's a lot of efficiencies to be had between offshore and AI for sure.
What do you think about are you seeing anything in the world of AI and the e-com space that's a game changer or anything?
I mean, there's a lot of like AI within modeling and measurement, which is kind of cool.
But that's built into, you're saying like the Facebook Meta,
or
that
some
stuff?
of the separate platforms
Okay.
like, these MTA or MMM platforms. But, the kind of stuff I'm going to be excited to see is like, I've got this water bottle and I want to sell a bundle of 12 bottles. And I want AI to build me a landing page knowing everything about, it should go research this type of water, where it's from, go look on Reddit. Why do people like where the source is from this water, and build the landing page and include all that kind of stuff. That would be sick.
That'd be
I
sick.
haven't seen
A
anything
little
like
scary
that.
though.
I've seen some stuff around AI creators. There's an app called captions.ai. And I think there's another one called Icon, and it's just basically like they allow you to make ad creative using AI. Those two are probably, and then of course, if you can do ad creative, then you can do TV creative. And if you can do that, then you can do email creative. Like there's so many things that I think will slowly, but it's not going to be like AI is going to take out designers.
Yeah.
It's going to be more like these designers are going to be able to do this 10 times faster with AI.
I think that's a big caveat that people miss. Is like the people who are really good at things, it's just going to make them so much better.
You still need that human touch.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You still need that like ideation. You still need, like it's
the expert touch.
The expert touch. Exactly.
What was your intro into e-com?
I was working at an ad tech company and buying Facebook ads.
Was this like out of, how old are you then?
I was 20 years, no, sorry, 17 years old actually.
Damn.
And I just moved to San Francisco, found this ad tech company. They brought me in as an intern. And then they said, we'll hire you for a year and then you can go to college after that if you want. And I took that opportunity. And then over there is where I learned how to run Facebook ads.
Sweet.
By way of just selling Facebook ads, because I was more on the sales side. I got really good at business development and sales there. And so I learned everything about the Facebook ads platform, who you could target, how deeply you used to be able to target like
crazy.
Like, yeah, you could be like people flying to Las Vegas in 7 days. I want to target them with an ad. And you could do that shit. It's
That's so crazy.
So I got really good at knowing how the platform worked by way of like exploring it and then helping do sales for it. But when I quit that company, I started freelancing and buying media for a lot of publishers. And that's where I learned how to do Facebook ads. And then a beverage company hired me. And that's where I first learned, that's where I learned everything about, everything about
e-commerce. So that was your first like e-com brand?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about e-commerce before. I basically walked in and they were like, you have to go get us 5,000 new customers in February. And if you don't do that, then like, your job is open again. And they were like, I remember I met the CFO in New York, and he was like, yeah, no one stays in this role for long, so don't get comfortable. And but then of course smashed that number.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
and
What how long were you with them for?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
And that was the explosion, right?
That was the explosion. Yeah.
Hell
That
yeah.
was like, yeah, huge explosion, double digit millions in revenue.
Everyone knows it now.
Everyone knows it.
Yeah.
Exactly. We got to do the rebrand because of it, moved it to Shopify. Yeah, we did so much. We went from spending like, you know, I think when we got there, the budget was like 150K or something a month to, by the time I left, we were spending $2 million a month.
Damn.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
And what'd you do after that?
Then I joined an agency out here, and I was there for a little bit. And then
What type of agency? Just e-com ads?
advertising
Yeah.
agency. They wanted to focus on direct to consumer. And then I ended up leaving and just started consulting. And you know, I just got into New York. I was like, I'm gonna email every single CMO, CEO, VC, and founder in New York of an e-commerce or DTC brand, and tell them that I just grew Hint, and if they want to grab coffee, you know, I'll
Fire.
like do my best to give them a good growth idea, and you know, I just want to buy them coffee. And so I ended up meeting with a lot of people there or that way, and that slowly just snowballed into getting contract work. And then that contract works, you know, I hired one person, then hired another person. Now we're at like 40.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's the birth of Sharma Brands.
Yeah.
What'd you learn from the coffee, from getting coffee with all those different e-com guys?
Honestly, not much. Like, I think the thing that I remember always walking away and thinking was like, wow, if these guys are doing this, like I should be able to do this, you know?
That's funny you say that. I feel like that's a common theme with people, is like you have this perception in your head that like, I don't know, these creators or these influencers are like better than you, smarter than you,
Yeah.
different from you in some way.
Yeah.
And then you meet these people and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
it's
No,
it's
just-
funny.
Yeah. And they all they did is just like take that risk,
Yeah.
you know? And
Took that risk and kept learning.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because when you're at that starting line, like we kind of alluded to throughout this whole episode, there's so much shit. There's a lot of overwhelm,
Totally.
and you just got to do the thing, and then the path kind of unlocks as you keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
You keep walking.
Yeah.
That's great. So how long has Sharma Brands have you been there for?
So it started, I would say, you know, towards officially technically at the beginning of 2020. So I guess we're at like 5 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
And right now, how many brands do you work with?
I'm not
I mean, it
sure.
varies because you guys
Yeah, it
do
varies.
one
It's
off
always
and
going up
everything.
down. But definitely a good amount. Our team's always stacked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Anything we haven't talked about today that we'd be remiss if we didn't cover? If we're talking kind of a masterclass of ecom.
I don't know. I think we covered all the basics. You know, I think like a lot of people focus on everything but the basics.
Yeah.
Because that's where the marketing dollars are. The marketing dollars are always behind the new toys. You know, they're just coming to market. They're spending money on advertising, getting in front of people. But the real money is just made in the basics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk the basics today just because, you know, I think a lot of the audience is at the beginning stage and they're
Yeah.
interested, but I don't think they've taken the jump yet for
Right.
most of them.
Right.
So I wanted to cover most of that stuff, just the 0 to 1, kind of the playbook of understanding of
Totally.
how to get this done.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Awesome. Well, Nick, appreciate you, dude.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
Fire, man.
Yeah, that was great.
That was awesome.